Welcome back, students of the dojo. This week, we're continuing our look at Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, the newest addition to 5e Dungeons & Dragons.
Today, we're looking at the optional class features for the Bard and the Bardic College of Creation.
Support the Dungeon Masters Dojo by heading over to Apple Podcasts and Podchaser and leave a review. Take the time to leave a comment as well. This helps make us more searchable to those listeners interested in content such as ours. But more importantly, we want to know how we are doing and what topics you would like to hear about.
Another way you can support the DMD is by buying the DMD a beer, so we can continue to deliver quality content to you, our listeners. This also helps us upgrade and replace equipment. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/thedmd and buy us a beer, or 3, or 5. Don't forget to say something nice or mean. We don't care. You're buying us a beer. Now on to this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Masters Dojo podcast. This is a show for game masters and players alike. We hope to bring you tips and tricks to elevate your game and develop the art of dungeon mastery. I'm your host, Louis Aponte, and these are your Dungeon Masters, Scott Labby and Bill Robotile. Let's enter the dojo and see what they have in store for us today.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Scott. How's it going?
Hey, Lou.
Very good. How are you?
Not too bad. I guess we're talking about the optional features for the Bard.
We're talking bards today. It's pretty exciting. But before we get started, I want to thank Rick and Mike Mahaney because they have been supporting us on Anchor with monthly
Support.
So thank you guys for doing that. It means a lot.
It does.
We thank you a lot.
And we got a new follower on something too.
Podchaser,
yeah. It's I don't want to ruin the name, so I'm going to look it up really quick so that we can give him a shout out. So, thank you very much, Mr. Cheesy Crumpet, for following us on Podchaser. I hope you continue to enjoy our content.
I'm just guessing he might be part of our UK following.
Could be, but I tell you, Cheesy Crumpet sounds like it'd be good wrong about now.
Cheesy Crumpet sounds pretty good anytime.
Anytime.
Yeah. I could go for a Cheesy Crumpet. But thank you very much.
We appreciate that. Appreciate the follow.
Making me hungry and for following us on Podchaser.
That's awesome. That's all our call-outs, I think.
For this week.
This week.
So the Bard.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
I enjoy the Bard.
I do too.
It's one of those classes that's, the introvert that I am, where it's really hard to get anything out of me, and I hardly talk at all.
Yeah, it's perfect for you.
Lies.
Just don't ask me to sing. I believe I've already mentioned earlier that if I do sing, it will probably sterilize any small animal 10 pounds or less. So, no singing for me, but I'll try to tell a good story. And I play the harmonica. That's it. It's the only instrument I can make sound that doesn't.
Well, that's the thing with the Bard. You don't have to play an instrument. You can be a poet,
a
storyteller,
comedian.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fun. But yeah, it's your interpretation. Yeah, they get musical instruments, but sometimes it's just strumming one chord for the background or 2 chords, and that's it. That's the extent of your musical ability.
You could be an Adam Sandler bard, where the guitar is nothing but a prop, and you just pluck it every now and again while you sing your silly comedy song.
That Thanksgiving song.
Yeah. Or your instrument could be a sledgehammer and a watermelon.
There you go.
So the Bard, in Tasha's, the Bard has optional class features like all these other class subclasses we've run across. Of course, the keyword being optional. So discuss with your DM whether or not they're going to allow that in their game. And DMs, please be open to your players' wants and desires and needs. But you get additional Bard spells. And that's a first level Bard feature. So right out of the gate, you're getting an expanded Bard list.
It's a pretty good list too.
It is.
A lot of these could be fun.
Yeah,
A lot of these could be real fun. I mean, first level color spray and command. Those could be very useful.
For like an 80s style hairband rocker. I mean, there's a lot you could do with that. I mean, if you're going that type of bard, then the pelvic thrust with the microphone stand is not optional.
Yes,
it has to be
It is
done.
mandatory, yes.
But then, color spray, of course, whilst doing so just adds to the effect on stage. And, if...
and with the absence of, the mirrored ball.
Right. And that could go south real quick. And the command spell, throw your braziers and your garters and the whatnot up on the stage.
Save the coin for later.
Yes.
Second level, aid, enlarge, reduce, mirror image.
And
I love mirror image.
I love enlarge.
It's not living large; it's enlarge.
Enlarge, yeah. I love the enlarge spell. There's a lot of fun things you could do with the enlarge spell. You're running up against a Tarrasque, right? You enlarge your Goliath barbarian, and now you got a big ass kaiju fight going on. You just gotta hope it resolves before the spell wears off, because that could be a problem for your Goliath barbarian.
It's a matter of timing. Just before he bites his head, boom.
Yeah, reduce. Not
Hey.
so fun. But
Third level, intellect fortress, mass healing word, and slow. Mass healing word is cool.
it is. I want to say that there was a psionics ability in AD&D
It was.
that was either named exactly
It
the
is.
same.
It
or
was named
similar.
exactly the same. Yeah, that's why I said I want to take a look at that.
I wonder how it matches up. We'll have to get down to the Lyceum afterwards and do a side by side.
Yep.
Well, I was just giving it a quick peek, and it gives you resistance to psychic damage.
I think that's exactly what the
No, the psionic one, actually, if I remember correctly, because I played psionics, I still have the books, actually kind of guarded your mind from other different forms of attacks.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot more involved.
Yes, it was a lot. It was math heavy.
Yeah.
everything about AD&D was math heavy. The best math tutor one could possibly ask for was every book for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
So I missed the THACO system.
Yep, the THACO system.
The THACO system. Fourth level, Phantasmal Killer. You better make sure you tip your bard.
That's right. There's something's following you home.
Yep. Fifth level, Rary's Telepathic Bond. Ritual. Prep that one up ahead of time. Sixth level, Hero's Feast, because everyone's happier when there's a meal.
Yep.
And there's a lot of bonuses that come along with that.
Now, is it the spell or the cookbook?
That's the spell.
Seventh level, Dream of the Blue Veil and Prismatic Spray. I read Prismatic Spray, and all I could think of was about your pelvic thrust on the mic.
Yeah. You got to end the show on a high note, right?
Yeah. Eighth level, Antipathy and Sympathy.
Got to make them cry somehow.
That's
That's
it.
right.
Yeah, love me. Ninth level, Prismatic Wall.
Got to keep them away.
Gotta
from you
keep them away from it.
Afterwards, yeah. So that's how the Beatles did it.
Yep. And you thought it was just the hairdos.
So at
Cool spell list.
yeah, not a bad one at all. A lot of kind of flavor spells,
Effect spells.
Yeah.
You could do a lot of cool stuff with your bard casting these spells.
Yeah, even at a show, then you throw a command in there and clap. Everybody's just clapping, and for the duration of that spell,
Yeah.
nonstop.
So at second level, you get magical inspiration. So if a creature has a bardic inspiration die from you and casts a spell that restores hit points or deals damage, the creature can roll that die and choose a target affected by the spell. Add the number rolled as a bonus to the hit points regained or the damage dealt. The bardic inspiration die is then lost. So that's
pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I want to say, and I may be wrong. You probably know better than I, Lou. I want to say your inspiration die as a bard goes all the way up to
I know it starts at
it's
D6,
big.
D8.
D6.
Yep.
Yeah.
And do a D8.
Something like
D8.
that.
Yeah, it's progressive.
Yeah, when you hit those like higher levels, it's big.
Yeah.
It's
It can be. Well, I mean, it's a bonus no matter what.
yeah.
Any bonus is better than
Any
no
bonus is a good bonus.
Yes, it is.
And when you got a D8, you roll that 8. If you're in combat and you're trying to use this to affect damage, well, it's a hit die.
Mm-hmm.
It's effectively a hit die, especially if you add anything else on top of that. Just to the D8, that's a hit die.
Yep.
On top of anything else you're doing or anything anyone else is doing.
Same thing could go for healing, too.
Right.
Yep.
That gives you back a hit die. So that's substantial. I like it.
So bardic versatility, right? At 4th level, you get this.
Yes.
We're still in those optional bard features.
Right.
Whenever you reach a level in this class that grants the ability score improvement feature, you can do one of the following, representing a change in focus as you use your skills and magic. So you can replace one of your skills you choose for the expertise feature with one of your other skill proficiencies that isn't benefiting from expertise. And you can replace one cantrip you learned from this class's spellcasting feature with another cantrip from the Bard's spell list. So it allows you a little wiggle room.
A little reset, depending on where you're sitting with your performances or your situations.
I call it a little bit of growth.
Yeah.
And that's right, because your skills, like in the real world, as you stop practicing them, you kind of lose that proficiency, and you begin to gain proficiencies in those skills that you're using more frequently. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially
your skill set changes, and so does your interests, which drives your skill set. So,
well, just think about it. When you're at 1st level, you're not sure what you're going to need, but by the time you're at 4th level, your skills or expertise may need to change.
Yeah, and based on the campaign you're playing, you have an effective session 0, and your DM's laying things out, and you're like, well, I just hit 4th level or 8th level or 12th level or whatever. I can start swapping some skills out for ones that I think are going to come in handy during this particular campaign.
Especially when the first 3 levels, I haven't used that skill very often,
exactly.
And I really wish I had this one because the way I play my character is directed in this particular direction, and this doesn't support it, but that would.
But so at the same time, this allows for, I'd say, role-playing thematics. We said it before, where if I wanted to learn, I know I'm coming up to 4th level, I want to learn something from Bill's character, Bill could start teaching me at 3rd level. At least now I can say this is why I should be able to swap out this skill for this skill.
Yeah, and that's a good point you bring up, too, because just don't, as DMs, just don't allow someone to swap skills out. Ask them.
Yeah, because the book says so.
Yeah, ask why. How'd you learn it? When did you, find the time to do that? And, this is how much it's going to cost, because you're just not going to wake up one morning and be like, you know what, I'm more skilled at athletics. I have expertise in athletics now. Why have you been going to the gym? Nah.
But I stayed at a Holiday Inn
Express. Yeah, I read a lot of books, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos on fitness, and I did order Sweating to the Oldies.
Well, that's like me, being an IT guy and saying, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to be a doctor today. I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It don't work.
It doesn't work that way.
There should be a cost in time and money associated with that, and players just be understanding of that.
I've said a number of times, and I said it for decades, justify your changes. Justify. I mean, if you're going to make a drastic change, if it's incremental, hey, I've been practicing with my sword every night, and now I have this new skill. I was seen it before, and I'm just going to keep practicing. Okay, you can kind of let that slide. But this is a change of your skill set.
Yep.
You need to justify that. Yeah. And I've done that forever.
Yep.
Forever. Like Lou said, if you sit at my table, you're going to change at 4th. You better start training in 3rd level. And, every time I have time, I'm going to spend time with this character, and this character is going to show me some of those skills, and we're going to try this, and we're going to try that, and play it out. Okay, in this game, your DC is an 18. That's awful high, and you're going to miss it most of the time, but you're just learning, so your DC is an 18 or a 19. And then a couple weeks of gameplay, your DC is now a 17, and a couple weeks more, your DC is now a 15, and bring it down to a manageable 12. After 3, 4, 5 successes, set a benchmark and consecutive. 5 times in a row, boom, you're ready to go.
Yep.
And now when you get to your next class or your next level and you're ready to make these skill set changes, you're all set to go. You've justified it, and it's a smooth transition, and you've played it out at the table. So the players have seen you enacting this all the time. And even in combat, I'm going to try it. Okay, your DC is still a 16. Yeah, but I'm going to try it anyways because it'll work. I know it'll work, and it doesn't work. Or maybe it does. Either way, it's like, yes, and then you try it again, and no, and then again, no, and then, all right, I want
that roller coaster ride.
Yes, but let them play it out. But the justification can be fun as it's played out at the table.
Yeah, I think the key is to always remember it's a role-playing game, so it's not like you're playing World of Warcraft or Elder Scrolls Online where you could just switch things out in your paper doll or choose a new talent tree or whatever. It's very different.
A whole different dynamic.
Entirely.
So do it and do it right.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. It adds depth to your character, and I think you do the game, the campaign, the other players and characters, and yourself as a player a tremendous disservice if you just write down a new cantrip or if you just choose another skill to be, to have expertise in. You know, where's the why?
Exactly.
Or the how.
Or the how.
Yeah, how. Yeah. All right, so Bard colleges.
Yeah.
Third level.
Are these like universities or more like a community college? Can you go to like 2 years at a Bard college and get an associate's degree in eloquence or something?
You're a Bard. It's probably more like community.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I would definitely say community.
Though I would imagine the parties at like a Bardic university would be pretty badass.
Epic. Absolutely epic.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of aspiration. A lot of police showing up for noise complaints.
Who eventually end up just dancing along with everyone else anyways.
Yeah, because that bar's going to use command to say, dance.
Dance, copper.
All right.
I digress.
So at third level, Bard gains the Bard College feature, which offers you the choice of some subclass. The following options are available when you are making that choice: the College of Creation and the College of Eloquence.
So we're talking
the College of Creation.
College of Creation. That's some neat stuff in here, and I've done a lot of thinking about this, like how this fits into a game, what different avenues you could take as a GM or a player to kind of add a little bit of flavor to it.
Oh, there's lots of flavor here. Just the way they think. It's a different philosophy. It's a whole different philosophy. Bards believe the cosmos is a work of art, the creation of the first dragons and gods. That creative work includes harmonies that continue to resound through the existence today, a power known as the Song of Creation. That just sounds cool.
And song has been a very powerful art form since
forever.
Since our species was, I don't know, introduced.
Well, stories and songs is how knowledge was passed.
Yeah,
long before literacy.
And it's almost like it's kind of a primordial thing. It's been present even before the gods, and this power and this energy you pull directly from the fabric of the cosmos, from the universe. So it's almost like a very elven thing, like a very ancient fae kind of practice.
Well, I'd say fae more than elven. Yeah. Even today, in today's technology, you can actually listen to the song of the universe being created. I mean, it's white noise, but that's what SETI listens to, and they look for patterns in there that possibly could be signs of intelligent life through mathematical sound, or mathematical combinations and things like that. So this, even in real life, the Song of Creation's out there. Sounds a little bit like white noise, but it's out there.
So what do we get now? Dwarves and gnomes are encourage their bards to become students of the Song of Creation, and why? Now, why do you? That's all they give you. Why? Why do you suppose like dwarves and gnomes would be the ones that are more apt to become students of the Song of Creation, or why, as a collective people, there's that encouragement?
Well, dwarves are I can't say universally, but are stereotyped into the thing where they're one with the world, one with the earth.
Yep.
They're digging up the minerals. They're following the veins of minerals through the earth itself and gems and minerals. They're fine crafting these metals into tools. So they're in tune with the world in a tactile fashion.
Yeah, and I can see their versions of these songs being almost like working songs, gruff kind of, it's like their cover of, whatever, every race has their cover of this certain song.
Yep.
And almost like, was that the Mongolian throat singing or
yeah.
very, very deep in baritone and just kind of that rhythm to keep you swinging a pickaxe or a shovel or whatever. And I think
Tennessee Unity Ford is their god. Loaded 16 tons. What do you get?
And or Working in the Coal Mine by Toto.
Yeah. Demigod.
And to your point with the dwarves, I would think the gnomes similarly. They have a bond to nature, and where they're not mining through mountains, they're building burrows, and tunneling in their own right. But that bond to the natural world is there, and they have an affinity for gemstones and those sparkly things too.
Again, these are two races that have a tactile oneness with the earth, and everything around them. Everyone else walks on the grounds. These people live in it.
Yeah.
They work it. That's their lifeblood.
Well, just think if they were down in the crystal mines, the crystals be resonating all these different sounds for them. So that's another thing they got going for them too.
So yeah, I mean, going to a dwarven town or city or something, there would almost be like that background thrum of, their bards. Maybe their bards, their College of Creation bards are employed by various mining clans or smithing clans to kind of like sing these spells and these things into creation, or even just working out of taverns at night or whatever. But there'd always be that kind of like, I don't know, that dwarven version of elevator music. It's always in the background.
What comes to mind is the monks.
Yeah.
With, where you got that constant, off in the background. There's almost someone singing in Latin somewheres, along with a few guys, and you can hear it resonating through the halls, and that would be constantly going all the time.
And maybe even like gnomish settlements, their burrows are made to carry these sounds more effectively throughout the tunnels, and in their burrows or warrens or whatever it is they would culturally call these settlements.
Now, what about the Dragonborn?
Well, yeah. What about them? So we see in this picture, and it's cool because it's very uncharacteristic, right? Whenever you see a Dragonborn, they've got like a battle axe and a shield, or a sword and a shield. They're depicted as warriors. They're big, strong warriors. And here you got one playing a banjo. And he's got his dreadlocks, and he's a cool Dragonborn, and it looks like he's singing his heart out, and there's this lady dancing with a statue. It's kind of a uncharacteristic depiction of a Dragonborn, which is cool because it breaks the mold. It's like, your Dragonborn can really be anything you want your Dragonborn to be. It doesn't have to be a warrior. Sure, it's optimized, and that's a great class option, or paladin even for them. But why not a bard? Why not, step outside of that?
It's a society, and there's a lot of different people in a society.
Yeah, and that's and I think that's probably the biggest tenet of this book is that you're not all people aren't exactly the same,
stereotyped,
right? So you're going to have Dragonborn shopkeepers or Dragonborn bards. So I was pretty cool. I was happy to see that.
I'm glad you finally found a picture in the book you liked.
Yeah, man, especially after that
27 pages, but you finally found one you like.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the other one. I mean, Robert Pattinson I'm cool with, but the Piggy Tail Barbarian I still find it upsetting. I called Conan the Barbarian last week, and I apologized to him.
What did he have to say to you?
Crush the enemies.
So among the Dragonborn, the Song of Creation is revered for legends portraying Bahamut and Tiamat, the greatest of dragons, as two of the song's first singers. I like that.
That makes a lot of sense.
I like that.
It does, and I can't wait to do an episode on those two.
Yes. Well, it'll have to be two.
Yeah, it'll have to be. I think so.
Each one deserves their own episode. So now we get into some of these other abilities. The Mote of Potential. This I like. Whenever you give a creature a bardic inspiration die, you can utter a note from the Song of Creation to create a tiny mote of potential, which orbits within 3 feet of that creature. The mote is intangible and invulnerable, and it lasts until the bardic inspiration die is lost. It looks like a musical note, a star, a flower, or any other symbol of art or life that you can choose. When the creature uses the bardic inspiration die, the mote provides an additional effect based on whether the die benefits an ability check, an attack roll, or a saving throw. And they got it detailed below. But that, you get this little thing floating around your head. That is, well, it harkens back to like the ion stones.
I was going to say that, yeah.
But those can be snatched. These you can't touch.
No, you can't touch them. I'm not too keen on that.
No, how come?
Reminds me of a video game.
Yeah, it does. It kind of does.
We'll see, as someone who doesn't play a lot of video games,
it looks
at least not on my Nintendo 64.
It does look like a spell effect that you would see on like a buff or something.
Yes. Yep.
That you would see in World of Warcraft or
EverQuest or one of those.
Yeah.
All right. So to get around that, what I would do is make it a temporary tattoo on their cheek, their forehead, their arm.
That. Okay, I can deal with that.
And it appears there, and it might softly go. It might even move. Maybe be a butterfly that's slowly fluttering its wings. So change it up a little bit. The effects are still the same. All it is just how you're going to present it.
Right.
But that's how I would change that.
Just
to make Lou happy.
I would live with that. I just seeing this magical mote float around somebody's head or your head or whatever. It brings me back to like the MMORPG games.
Yeah, and when I was reading this, I was like, there is that, and that was really one of the things I disliked the most about 4th edition was it reminded me too much of an MMO, and I don't want my. I mean, when you dip your Hershey's into your Skippies, that's a good thing, right? But I don't want my my RPG to be dipped into my MMO. I just don't think it works.
Two great tastes that do not taste great together.
Right. Exactly.
So
well said.
Now let's go into these 3 different abilities. An ability check. When a creature rolls the Bardic Inspiration die to add it to an ability check, the creature can roll the Bardic Inspiration die again and choose which roll to use, as the mote pops and emits a colorful, harmless sparks for a moment. Not too bad. Not too bad. Basically, you got advantage on your Bardic Inspiration die.
Too anime for me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I would just have a like a pulsing orb, and then when it's used, it dissipates. But pops and
but I like anime
sprinkles and glitter and stuff like that. Maybe
remember,
that looked great with Sailor Moon Barbarian over on page 26, but
all right.
We call that the Care Bear Barbarian, by the way.
Attack roll. Immediately after the creature rolls the Bardic Inspiration die, to add it to an attack roll against a target, the mote thunderously shatters the target, and each creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet of it must succeed on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC or take thunder damage equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die.
You got to like that one, Lou.
You got to like that one.
I like the thunder damage part. I just don't like the mote thing floating around.
Well, for you, we're going to do tattoos.
I will go with that.
We're going to go with
teddy bear tattoos,
slowly little animated tattoos.
A little ducky.
That's it.
A Sailor Moon barbarian. All the good stuff.
Saving throws. Immediately after the creature rolls the Bardic Inspiration die and adds it to his saving throw, the mote vanishes with a sound of soft music, causing the creature to gain temporary hit points equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die, plus your Constitution modifier, minimum of 1.
Charisma modifier.
Charisma. Oh, charisma, sorry.
Fix your glasses.
Yep, they're dirty. Charisma modifier. So you get hit points back.
What sort of
What are you going to say?
soft music do you suppose would be playing? Like Captain and Tennille,
Kenny G.
or something like
A little saxophone going.
the Partridge Family.
Muskrat Love.
Yeah. Celine Dion. Who's the one that does all the background music for the ASPCA where you're watching all the sad dogs and you're like, oh my God, you can't watch it because you're going to break down. Sarah McLachlan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know she's sponsored. Does she do the music too?
Yeah. The Arms of an Angel. Yeah, I can see that playing in the background when your saving throw goes off.
Are we going to ever have an episode where we don't piss off some celebrity somewheres?
I'm hoping they tweet out their anger so people are like, oh, I got to go check these guys out,
Yeah, if we didn't get anything from the Pesci and DeVito episode, then
yeah, I'm waiting for Robert Pattinson to send us an email saying how much he loved that episode where he was mentioned in. Do a good job with Batman, Robert. We're counting on you.
That's it.
So is Ben Affleck.
So the motive potential is pretty good. You might want to keep some of your players happy by changing the way it manifests itself. That's where being a good DM comes in, knowing your people at your table and saying, all right, this is not going to work because it's way too Sailor Moon for our group, so we're going to change it to something a little bit different.
Yeah.
All that is just the theatrics. The effects are the effects.
The flavor.
The flavor.
Performance of creation. This is pretty neat. I like where they're going with the.
This one could be fun.
Yeah. This is 3rd level. College of Creation feature. As an action, you can channel the magic of the Song of Creation to create one non-magical item of your choice in an unoccupied space within 10 feet of you. So this item must appear on a surface or in a liquid that can support it. Gold piece value of the item can't be more than 20 times your bard level, and the item must be medium or smaller. The item glimmers softly, and a creature can faintly hear music when touching it. The created item appears after a number of hours equal to or disappears after a number of hours equal to your proficiency bonus. For examples of the items you can create, see the equipment chapter of the player's handbook.
Or look about the room.
Yeah. Because, why not get creative with it? I mean, it is the name is performance of creation. Right?
Unlike the wonderful piece of artwork in the previous page, not every bar or tavern has a statue in it.
Right. But, flagons and the whatnot and fancy
hat
fancy
stands,
bottles, hat stands.
Yeah, go full-blown Beauty and the Beast.
I was just going to say, you can if you have enough bards, you can get a real Disney movie going on this one.
Between that and a few homunculus.
Yeah. What is plural for? Is it homunculuses, homunculus, or homunculi?
I think it's homunculi.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Lou, research that.
Homunculi. Already researched.
Did you?
There you
I don't
go.
believe him.
It's homunculi.
I don't believe him.
He's a tech guy. You never know when he's really talking. He just starts that gibberish, and
Yeah.
you just nod your head because you go into a funk, and you're just stuck listening to him.
Yeah, he went to the he's king shit of the Kaka tribe over there. He's full of baloney. Once you create an item with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of 2nd level or higher to use this feature again. And you can only have one item created by this feature at a time. If you use this action and already have an item from this feature, the first one immediately vanishes. So poof, it's gone. And the size of the item you can create with this feature increases by 1 size category when you reach 6th level, goes up to large, and to huge at 14th level.
So at 6th level, you can make the outhouse dance, but at 14th level, you can make the cottage dance.
Yeah.
I think a dancing outhouse would be comical.
That would be. This is the fodder
especially
of
if you wait till someone goes inside.
Yeah, a bard comedian. This is
Yes.
Oh, while this ability does sound cool, to me it seems like they kind of borrowed it from the cleric of the Forge, and a little bit from the Artificer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's why I said the homunculus.
Yeah,
you know,
that's when, because I was thinking, that's sort of what the Forge cleric can do already. He can make items, non-magic items from nothing already. So it looks like they're borrowing stuff from other classes to give other classes as well. They're sharing the wealth is what it looks like.
Yeah, and if I can digress for just a moment,
Yes, you may.
By all means.
this is one of the concerns I have with the direction that 5th edition is going in. Where, and we talked about this off the mic earlier. It's almost like there's a singularity that's happening with the characters where they're all going to end up kind of the same,
homogenizing.
Yeah, and that's awful, and the same thing with character races and stuff. And I get where they're going with this, because not every person from every species is the same. They're individuals, but I think you lose a lot of the special.
And that's why I think, like, I kind of call myself a purist, because I really don't multi-class characters too often. I don't think I ever have, really. And I just like that if I'm going to play a character, it should be that character, and it should be played pure. That's just my take.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, while we all try to min-max a little bit, I think when you start multi-classing, you're trying to max everything. This is like same thing with ability scores. I don't get it sometimes.
But I think with this, it's like, okay, everybody can have magic, so magic's no longer special. Everybody can have healing, so healing's no longer special. Yep. So there's no wheelhouse. It's just like everybody can have anything.
It's getting to the point where you have to try really hard not to wield magic.
Yeah, and that's
you have to be a commoner to do that.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And then you're not an adventurer when you do that.
Yeah.
But when you do stuff like this, when everybody has the ability to do or try everything, then who is special?
Yes.
Nobody. Everybody's
nobody stands out.
A cookie cutter. They're it's just gray. There's no blasts of vibrant color. There's no purples. There's no oranges. There's no stripes. There's no rainbows. It's shapes filled in with gray. There's no uniqueness, and that's a shame. And that just may be from an old grognard who's looking at like all this new stuff they're putting out and questioning
why.
Why?
Well, when we first picked up 5th edition, one of the first things I said is, why is everyone casting magic?
Yeah.
Or why can almost everybody heal in some sort of fashion, either whether it be themselves or somebody else?
Right. And now don't get me wrong, I enjoy 5th edition because of the direction they started off in. I just would warn them to be careful, because you're right. It looks like they're homogenizing everything.
Yeah, it's like, all right, let's get back to basics. And now that we're back to basics, let's start building everything up again like we did before when we needed to get back to basics. Mm-hmm. And then we'll get back to basics again when it gets too cumbersome and unwieldy, and then the whole process will start all over again.
It just, to me, it sounds like they're trying to make it a little video game-esque.
Yeah, and that's video games are wonderful, and I enjoy playing video games, but sitting at a table with your friends, and watching them touch all your carefully created terrain with their Cheetos fingers and having a good time and laughing and goofing around and, raging when they roll a 0 or a 1.
No, only you can roll a 0. Only you can roll a 0.
There's nothing that beats that, and a video game can't even come close.
Correct.
Yeah, this is a tabletop RPG. This is not a video game.
We've been digressing for a little bit. Let's get back on topic.
All right.
Cracking the whip. Okay, so we move on to 6th level with the animating performance. This is interesting. This is where your dancing statue comes from. As an action, you can target a large or small non-magical item you can see within 30 feet of you and animate it. The animated item uses the dancing item stat block, which is right above it, which uses your proficiency bonus. The item is friendly to you and your companions and obeys your commands. It lives for 1 hour until it is reduced to 0 hit points or until you die. So you have a little bit of a time frame there. In combat, the item shares your initiative count, but takes its turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but the only action it takes on its turn is the dodge action unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it and take another action. The action could be one in its stat blocks or some other action. If you are incapacitated, the item can take any action of its choice, not just dodge. So there's a little anonymity there with it. A little.
Again, it feels like they borrowed this one from the wizard from Animate Object.
Yeah.
Yep.
And while I think the Bard should have something like that, I mean, they give it a little twist, so I guess it's okay. I just think they should just try to come up with things a little bit more original.
Yeah, and this was a reprint. The College of Eloquence was in Mythic Odysseys of Theros.
Yep.
You know, just like the Artificer class was in
Eberron.
So, and I guess get what they're trying to do is they're trying to pull some of this stuff together so you can use it for the Adventurers League and maybe for another reason that I might be missing. But I feel a little ripped off. You know, I already have those books. I don't want this again. I already got it once. Shame on you.
But you do have that one brand new piece of artwork you like. So
thank goodness for that.
there you go.
Thanks.
Silver linings.
Yep.
Silver linings.
I knew you'd like Sailor Moon.
Who doesn't like Sailor Moon? I just don't like my barbarians dressed like her.
Okay, so once you animate an item with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest unless you expend a spell slot of 3rd level or higher to use this feature again. You can only have one item animated by this feature at a time. If you use this action and already have a dancing item from this feature, the first one immediately becomes inanimate. So the stat block's not too bad. Immutable form, irrepressive dance, force-empowered slam, so you can use it for combat. Just one that catches me is dark vision, 60 feet. Why would you give a chair dark vision? Wouldn't tremor sense be, for an inanimate object, make more sense? Vibrations, things like that?
Well, I don't know. I'm only guessing because they figured they were making it from inanimate to animate. I don't even know why it would have any sense at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to be able to dodge. And it'll be able to dodge and move it on its own while you're unconscious or incapacitated.
Okay.
So there's a small amount of anonymity there where it can move on its own. But I just think dark vision seems odd.
I would have just gave it regular vision then in that case.
Well, that's why. Well, like I said, it's inanimate. It doesn't mean eyes are immediately going to pop on it. So give it tremor sense. It'll be able to sense the motions of what's going around. Personally, I think that would make more sense.
I'd carry my own inanimate object around with me because it says it'd be large or smaller construct. So I'd have an action figure. I'd probably have an action figure that looks exactly like my Bard character. And then I'd toss that bad boy down and do my thing, and me and my action figure would get busy.
Thematically, that's pretty cool. I will give it that.
And you now have the enlarge spell.
If
you need to make it
a kaiju,
if you needed, just make it life size so it can dance with the pretty girls, in the front. There you go.
Yeah.
And
Okay, that thematically, I will give it that. This is good for the Bard.
And I'd spend some money on it too. I wouldn't want like a this raggedy looking little doll. I'd go and be like, hey, artificers, make me a mini me that I could carry around in like my belt pouch or something. He'd have his own spot. It'd be like, gamers when they carry around their minis, they have like the foam that they rest them in. I'd have that. I pull it out and boom, take out my, I don't know.
That sounds good.
My heroic scale action figure of me, like the G.I. Joes.
There you go.
Except it would have a lot more muscle.
Yeah, the old school G.I. Joes. It would be an idealized me. Yeah.
I mean, come on, it has a strength of 18.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my strength's pretty close to that. It's like a 7. But yeah, I would definitely have something like, you'd be dressed like me and everything. I'd have outfits too. He'd be like a guy Barbie, where it's like, all right, if
I'm sure that would be in a separate case, of course.
Yeah, I got to put him in his adventuring gear.
all in miniature coat hangers. And
Yeah. I mean, why not?
well, yeah. Armor class 16. Well, natural armor, that's not bad.
That's not bad. That's actually pretty good.
And when you're at a gig or something like that, you really, I mean, enlarging him like you said, so
Yeah.
you could dance around with all the, all the,
Or if worse comes to worse, now he becomes your security, out in front.
yeah. Or I'd have two of them. I'd have a male version and a female version of me, though a female version of me would be absolutely terrifying. So I don't know if any guys in the crowd would want to dance with a female version of me. It looked like a half orc.
I'm speechless. That vision just left me speechless.
So I'd be a redhead too. So creative crescendo.
14th level.
14th level. This is your big capstone feature for the particular Bard College. So when you use your performance of creation feature, you can create more than one item at once. There you go.
Now your two figures can dance with each other.
Dance away. The number of items equals your charisma modifier, minimum of 2 items. If you create an item that would exceed that number, you choose which of the previously created items disappears. Only one of these items can be of the maximum size you can create, and the rest must be small or tiny. You are no longer limited by gold piece value when creating items with your performance of creation. So having read that,
Yes.
all right, here's my
here it comes.
Here's my idea for the Bard.
I think Lou's head's going to explode over there.
The College of Creation Bard. So he would be like Jeff Dunham, right? He'd be like a ventriloquist.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
And he would. That's what.
2 of the 3 of us like you.
Yeah. And basically there'd be a mini me, and maybe even if I was like with a party of adventurers and they were my buddies, I'd have a little person for each of them, and I'd field an army of these little minions,
Little combats out there.
yeah, and be like, go forth and do my bidding.
Well, the rest got to be small and tiny, so your female half-orc of yourself would be the big monster in the middle, and all the others would be combat.
It'd be like dumping out my box of WizKids pre-painted minis, and those booster packs piss me off because I never get what I'm looking for. I always get like, oh, another goddamn kobold, and letting them run amok. Like, can you imagine? It'd be like one of those creepy horror movies, like from the 70s. Like maybe I'd carry a tiki doll, like a little angry tiki doll guy with a spear and a shield. And
Puppet Master.
Yeah, set him on some baddies. But you could have like an entire army like in your backpack and just dump it out. When danger strikes, just dump them all out and they pop up. And
See, I see this as a Scott's Gnomish Bard or Halfling Bard having 2 female dolls so he can have the time of his life that night.
Oh, jeez.
if I have a high enough charisma,
That's just wrong.
And he's going to either use reduce
so
or
many
large,
levels.
either on himself or the dolls.
this went south quick. Lou,
Thank you, Lou.
Lou can't be trusted. This
He's
is what-
supposed to be directing
Yeah,
us.
Lou cannot be trusted with this type of power. He needs an Uncle Ben to tell him with great power comes great responsibility. But when I get done crafting my all Bard D&D story,
Yes.
one of them is going to be a performance of creation Bard, because that has a ton of potential at the higher levels. Like,
Yes.
I think it would be awesome to just field a small army and send them. And then, you'd probably have to have an artificer or something in there so they could fix the dolls that get inevitably stomped on, by the bugbear you set them on. But imagine setting like 5 or 6 of them out of your backpack and them crawling all over a big bugbear, like ants and everything, stabbing away, your little tiki guy getting them, the mini.
It's like one of those horror movies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, force empowered slam. It's a D10 plus your proficiency bonus. That would be that'd be a substantial little army.
Yeah, it would be nasty. And it would be awesome to see that. So maybe like I'd go do shows, and one of them would sit on my lap and it'd be like, he's the greatest ventriloquist ever, because that little version of him is just like doing his thing.
You can't even see his hand up his butt.
Yeah, you'd just be sitting there, you have your hands behind your head, or you'd be drinking a beer, while the thing's juggling or whatever. There's a lot of I don't know how he would stand up like in a fight or on like an adventure, but he'd be fun as heck to play.
Oh yeah, okay.
I could get behind that.
Why? I picked up the wrong
that'd be awesome.
Whose head's gonna pop?
You could do a lot with that. See, it's like just because your party is all the same class doesn't mean it's going to be boring.
Oh,
right?
By no means.
Because you can, maybe sure you'll have a little bit of overlap, but everybody's got their
niche.
Their niche. Yeah. So you got this guy who's like, he's a ventriloquist, right? So that's like his thing. And maybe you got, the rocker bard, who just shreds on his axe.
Then you have the folk singer.
Yeah. And then you get, the College of Eloquence, but we're going to talk about that next week because I have an idea for what kind of bard I would play with the College of Eloquence.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And in constructing, the all bard D&D story, this College of Eloquence would certainly have a role in that too. But that'll have to be next week.
That's for another week.
But if you're interested in an all bard adventure, go back all the way to our Lich episode,
yes,
where we talk about the Arch-Lich Rolling Stones guitarist, Keith Richards.
Oh yeah,
the Arch-Lich Keith Richards. And but yeah, we'll fill in the gaps next week.
And that's a look at the Bardic College of Creation. Stay tuned for next week when we talk the Bardic College of Eloquence.
That's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe to the podcast for more great content. If you'd like to hear a particular topic, you can reach us on Facebook at the Dungeon Masters Dojo, or you can drop us an email at thedungeonmastersdojo@gmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.